6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, everyone, on this bank holiday Monday weekend, I guess. Still, that's what you class it. I'm a bit fucked and a bit fucked off after yesterday, but we're going to try and keep it calm because the result is not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. Personally, that's my thoughts. But we're going to look into it extensively, look over the action, and then talk about the positives from the game as well as the negatives and what we could have changed or what we would have changed ourselves. I've got Gary and John in the background waiting to come on. So before we do that, hit the subscribe button, guys. Hit the thumbs up button. It really does help. Don't forget about our sponsor, Dijk, amazing little family-run company, amazing T-shirts. A few people have bought the Nick Pope the War T-shirt and they absolutely love it. I've got it myself. It's amazing. At the moment, it's 20% off for all viewers. That might change soon, so please take advantage of it while you can. Benfield also in action on Saturday, so I'll have the highlights reel out tonight, and we also got a goal of the month to go through, and I'm going to try and get Alan Shearer to pick the winner. So, without any further ado, let's bring the boys in. First of all, Gary. Afternoon, Gary. Gary.
Are you having some internet problems?
Again? As soon as I went live, it's gone crap.
I might be the only one. Yeah, you're all right now, but the intro was a bit dodgy, but I don't know if it was just me.
Well, it might be hopefully just you. John, are you all right? Did you hear me all right?
Yeah, I could hear everything there. Fine, mate. So
thank God for that.
No, that's me. But
I was like, not again.
Somebody's paying on my signal.
Way. There's the link if you'd like to become a member. It really does help. We try and support Benfield as much as we can. If we get to 100 members at £5, we're going to be giving away a special prize to that level only as well, so please consider it if you can afford it, of course. Leslie is always in the house. She's an amazing mod. Good afternoon all. Please like and subscribe and share to your socials and keep the channel to grow. Hope everyone is feeling better, though I have my doubts. I'm just tired, Leslie. Big up Gary and the lovely Kyle for what it was a difficult watch along. Yes, absolutely amazing stuff. Someone from Bolton is ringing me. I'm not answering that. Afternoon, everyone. I'm at work and will be listening in, but in the chat, enjoy. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate it. All right, Alice, mate, the future is still bright. Of course it is. It's only been 3 games. Enjoy, Lee. Game was shambolic, Baz. Can't sugarcoat it. Wasn't shambolic at all. The result was in the end, but the game wasn't. So we're going to talk about it and tell you why and have our views on it. Gary, wakey. Yeah. Yeah, the intro was fine. It must have been Gary's signal. Right, so we are here, obviously, to talk about this result. It seems to be Jurgen Klopp has a thing over Newcastle and over Eddie Howe at the moment. We can't seem to buy a win against them, even in the situation we're in. But let's talk about the first few minutes, because Liverpool should have been down to 10 men very early on in the first 5 minutes. Trent stupidly got himself yellow carded for throwing the ball away. And then the referee bottled it when he took down Anthony Gordon on the wing when he was flying past him. Gary, it was a red card. 2 yellows and a red.
Yeah, it was. 1,000,000%. Yeah. Apparently, there's some rumour going around that this is where Trippier got so upset, because apparently there's a rumour going around that the referee said it was too quick after the first incident.
I see. What a load of bollocks. How many times have we seen
and this is
players
why
in lower leagues get sent off for the same thing? 2 quick yellow cards and then they get sent off.
This is why Trippier was so annoyed. If you'd seen it on the screen, it's because that's what the referee said. And I mean, look, the rules are now you can't throw the ball away to booking, right? If Trent hadn't have had that booking in the first place, he would have got booked for that. So it's a send off. End off. And it was one of those
Frustrating.
bloody decisions that frustrate and annoying decisions that VAR's meant to get off and meant to do its job. And
I think with VAR though, VAR
it's
wouldn't look
one
at a
of
yellow
those.
card incident though, would they? Not in the middle of the
I
park.
think personally VAR should look. I think VAR should look at everything, and because a yellow card incident could be a red card, and it's
True.
like I think VAR should be on everything, and it has been at times. It's not just our game. There's been some shocking decisions already, like
Yeah, but
in
VAR been shocking as well.
a lot
though,
of the
haven't they?
games
The
I've
people
seen.
running it.
Hmm?
People running VAR have made some absolute shocking decisions as well, though. So to get them to look at everything, I don't know. I don't know if I could trust them in the background to do the job properly.
Do you know what it is? I said it on the watch along. I mean, I'll go on about an incident. We'll go on about the incident soon, but there's an incident that happened in that game. And I didn't know whether to celebrate or not because basically I was waiting for VAR. And I don't know if VAR's spoiling the game or making it better. I've got no idea. But it's one of those, it was a send-off, plain and simple.
Yeah.
It's a booking every day of the week. Gordon skinned him and he pulled him back because he couldn't catch him up. And that was
never
it.
keeping up with him, was he?
No.
John, are you in the same sort of opinion that it's 2 yellow cards, even though how quick it was afterwards? It's not an excuse not to give a yellow card.
Yeah, it should have been a red card straight away. I think if Trent had been sent off, it probably would have changed the game completely. Like we all seen, Gordon skinned him, got past him. He would have been through into that box. It would have been probably a 3 against 3, or maybe a 3 against 2. He should have just been off straight away. And if what you're saying is correct, that the ref said, "Oh, that was too quick." Now either he's made that decision, or someone from up above's made that decision. Say that's too quick. Don't send him off. Just, you know what I mean? Like, don't send him off. In a way, and like VAR, like because the noise that went on in that stadium when that tackle happened, you see how loud it went, and then you seen the ref. I think the ref shit himself a little bit and realised, Jesus, I'm actually in a big game here now with Liverpool will always, they're not our closest rivals, but they are a rival. We don't like them, they don't like us. It'll be like that till the end of our time on this planet. And I think he just got caught up in it all a little bit. I think he realised the magnitude of the actual game itself. It should have been a red, but if they got a red, then would that have changed the outcome of
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a bit, because someone's actually commented about that as well, and it's a very interesting point. But we'll come to it in a bit later, because obviously we went ahead before the next bit happens. Trent slips up, allows Gordon to run through on goal, slips it under the keeper perfectly. Perfect goal, John. Just the pace that he showed, the composure he showed to slip it under his legs. He never had that last season. No. This is the new Anthony Gordon now, isn't it?
Well, he did say, didn't he, at the end of the season, he wasn't up to speed, that everyone else on the team was a level above him. And he said he was going to go away, work on it, work on the Euros under 21s, which he ended up getting best player of. And we're starting to see the benefits of that hard work, reap what you sow type of thing.
Yeah.
And without a shadow of a doubt, he was the best player on the pitch yesterday. He was a cut above everybody else. Liverpool didn't know how to handle him. Yeah. And you know what? Like, I was going to tweet it earlier, but he deserved that goal, especially against Liverpool. To get his first, I'm sure it's his first one for us.
It is, yeah.
To get his first
second.
one.
Second.
Is it second?
Yeah, he scored against Chelsea, didn't he, last game?
Yeah, he did, yeah. But to get his first home goal against Liverpool, he deserved that for everything. He's working hard, and long may it continue.
Yeah, 100%. Gary, me and you said when we were linked to him all those times, we said, depending on the price, we were 100% back him and take him. He'd be a great signing, young, this is what Eddie Howe wants. He'll mould him into the player he wants him to be, and it looks like he's starting to reap those rewards now.
100%. I remember in the beginning, linked with him, I was very happy. Chelsea 6 months before that, they wanted him, willing to pay about 50 to 60 million. And anybody who comes from Everton who's got talent, trust me, don't judge them on Everton playing for Everton.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that club is an absolute mess. So I was happy we bought him, and I think the under-21 tournament's done him the world of good, because he's come back from that and looks a different player altogether. That'll partly be down to Howe and his fitness model that he does, but that is Gordon getting confidence from the under-21. I've said it time and time and again, if Gordon adds goals to his game, you have got a star. Now, he's got everything else. He's got a work rate, he can defend, he can pass, he can run, he can cross. The only thing that was missing is goals. If he can add that, which he did yesterday, we've got one hell of a player.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find.
I was saying in obviously one of my football group chats, because obviously there's a lot of like Leeds, City, and all that type of lads and all that in there, beasting us about Gordon, and I was like, just wait till this season. I said you don't get the best player at a Euros under-21 for nothing. They don't give you it for banter. They give you it because you've been that best player.
Yeah.
And I said in the group chat, I said, look at the list of all the best players. You know, you've got like Thiago on there, João Felix. I know he hasn't been great at Chelsea, but at one point he was great and he was a really good footballer. You know, you've got all these, exactly. You know, with the right management, he could be one of the world's best. And then I said, you've got Anthony Gordon now, who's like broke that mold of the Spanish, French, Portuguese type
domination.
players.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely agree with you. So we'll come on to the next talking point. Is obviously the red card, and it was one of the I've come back up to the chat. Is there if TAA goes, then VVD red wouldn't happen. So to be honest, it still would have been 11v10 for most of the game. Do we agree with that comment or not, Gary? Gary. His internet's terrible. John, do we agree with that comment?
100% agree with it, and that's how I think if Trent had got sent off, I think it was like 8 minutes or something into the game, they would have been a lot more conservative in how they played. You know, they wouldn't have went straight into him. I think Van Dijk would have been extremely careful. I think they would have been a lot more conservative. So yeah, I agree with the comment.
Yeah, I do as well. So I mean,
it's wrong
Gary,
though. It's wrong. It is wrong. If they're sending off, they're sending off. He should be sent off. I don't care if you've got 9 men or 10 men. It's sending off, they're sending off. And both of them were sendings off. And I don't care what. I mean, you had Carragher trying to justify the bloody tackle by Van Dijk. And he wiped him out, plain and simple. And he was the last flaming man. So last man means sending off. End off. There you go. Defender's nowhere near him. It's a sending off, you pig. So, and I don't know what Van Dijk was whinging about. I really don't. He took his leg first. He got the ball second. But he only got the ball because he went right through Isaac. So what's he whinging at? And you had him whinging at the side of the pitch as per usual. And it was just... It was as soon as I saw the replay, I thought simple decision that, and it seemed to take forever for him to walk off the pitch.
Yeah, well, they were waiting for VAR to check it, weren't they? And I mean, how people say that's not a goal scoring opportunity is beyond me, because his touch was perfect. It was taking him into the box on goal. There was no one else around him to stop him. You would have had a one-on-one with the keeper. Would he have scored? We wouldn't know, but we know how good Isaac is. So you know,
that class is goal scoring opportunities. It's a goal scoring opportunity. That's a send off. The one thing I did do is, because obviously I didn't realise when you do watch-alongs, you actually miss stuff because you're looking at comments and I had Kyle with us and stuff. So I watched more of the game last night. I watched a lot of it. And at the time, I thought the defender was closer to Van Dijk. And when I saw it again, he was miles away. So it was an easy decision for me. And VAR took forever. And there you go. Picture, there you go.
They didn't want to send him off, did they, really? I mean,
no.
If they could have overturned it, they would have. We know what VAR's like. Come on, Tiger. There's some silly comments coming in here. Almiron, Burn and Bruno need to be dropped. Bring Miley and Anderson in. Rest need to earn their place back. Shocking. Almiron was not shocking yesterday. I
think regarding obviously the Van Dijk red card, what I didn't like was you've got Sandro Tonali there as one of probably the best set piece takers for his age, and probably in that club. But then they let Shah take a. Was it Shah?
Yeah.
Oh no, he hit the wall, didn't he?
And I was thinking, like, I think Trippier might have. I don't know. I think maybe Trippier's lost a little bit of confidence regarding free kicks, and actually he's had a couple of awful ones over the last few weeks. But I'd be like, if I was on that pitch there, I'd be like, Sandro, right, you're up.
Yeah.
And I'd say,
I don't understand it.
I'd say, have a crack at him. You know what I mean? Have a pop at him. Hit that ball hard and whiz it into him.
I agree.
John,
agree.
Yeah, 1,000,000% right, John, because I watched Sandro Tonali in the under-21 tournament, and he took every set piece for Italy. I haven't seen him take one here. Yeah. Why? Why is he not taking set pieces? You've got Shaw trying to curl it. You've got Shaw trying to curl it over the wall. When you've got Trippier standing right next to him, Shaw can hit free kicks, but he can't curl them. He's good at power ones. And you've got Sandro Tonali, who took every set piece for Italy. I don't understand that. And
I've watched Sandro Tonali since he's been about 18-year-old. I first heard about him when he was about 17-year-old, and like I've been purring over him for years. And then obviously he went to AC Milan, and like it's always been like one of my little dreams. I thought if we ever get taken over, he's the guy I want to build. I would want them to build the whole team round and just let him just dictate everything, because that's the type of player he is. And then we got him. It was just like my dreams would all come true, because I just know how good he's going to be and what his potential is. And I think Sandro Tonali, I think he's just finding his way in this club. And then what you'll start seeing is he'll start, no, I'm taking it past the ball here, and he'll just start dictating everything. And then what you'll start realising is the transgression in that team won't go through Bruno, it'll start going through Tonali. And Tonali will be the one who'll dictate that midfield.
Yeah.
I personally think it's already started. I watched the game, like I said last night. I watched it last night. I didn't realise, obviously, with a watch along, Tonali was fantastic yesterday.
He was. We're going to talk about him in a bit.
Yeah, and I think it's already started after what I've saw this season already. And he's one for
you. Just while we're speaking about the luscious Sandro. He'll be the next captain of Newcastle United.
Yeah, more than likely. He's under 21 captain for Italy.
That's my £5 on the table. He'll be the next captain.
As far as I'm aware, Craig Hope said that the scan on Botman, which we'll come to later, is not as bad as what is feared. So let's just we'll talk about that in a bit. The one thing I say about Tonali not taking free kicks is he's involved in the free kicks though, because against Villa, remember how we scored the second goal? He was the second person who got the ball from the free kick, so they played it out wide. He then curled it in. They created the angle, a better angle for him, and obviously Isak tapped it in after Botman squared it to him. So
I'll send you a video later of him taking crosses and doing free kicks, and you'll realise the actual level. You've got Shari here, you got Trippier there, and Sandro's probably about there. When it comes to that level of detail.
I just I didn't see the Villa game because I was on holiday at the time in Spain. But I just When I saw that, I mean, I tried to keep me, because Kyle was next to us, I tried to keep me head of times yesterday. I really did. I really bit my tongue. And I vented my anger after that game yesterday. And the wife was sick by 11 o'clock. And, right? But when Shaw took that free kick curling, I was boiling inside.
Yeah.
Really was, because I thought, what the freaking hell
I
are
didn't
you
understand
doing?
why they were doing that.
No.
Oh man, honestly, please, Tiger, watch the game again. Right, I'm gonna put some stat. I'm gonna talk about some stats because obviously, in the first half, Liverpool didn't really threaten us. I mean, Diaz had a great run, which Pope saved at the front post. That was about it from them. You know, you're saying that Tiger said we played badly. The first half, we had 54% of possession to 46. Probably could have been a little bit more. We had 8 shots, 4 on target, 2 off target, 2 were blocked. Liverpool had 4, 2 shots on target, 2 off target. We absolutely dominated that first half. We actually played better in the first half against 11 men than we did against 10 men at times. The other chance in the first half I want to talk about is Miggy, because obviously he's getting a lot of... why does it say we only hit the woodwork once when we hit the woodwork twice? That's terrible stats. Because obviously in the first half, there was the corner. It was played short to Miggy. Miggy dropped it back out wide. He then ran around, positioned himself on the edge of the box. The ball came to him. We chested it down beautifully. His left foot shot. For me, I have got no idea how Alisson kept that out. He palmed it onto the crossbar, and that could have been 2-0 in game over. Alisson kept them in the game in the first half. John, it was a great effort from Miggy. There's not really much more he could have done other than maybe put it another yard to Alisson's side, but it was a cracking hit and great control.
Yeah, you know, everyone's going to have the reserves about Miggy. You know, I like him. I think he's, you know, he just has that engine that can just run. Yeah, he had 2 shots, but then he had that. I can't remember. I think it was to make it 2-1 or something like that, and he done a Johnny Wilkinson goal kick, and I was just like,
no, that was that one. That's the second half. We'll talk about that later. Let's concentrate on the first half. Just this one chance we're talking about.
Well, the one chance, yeah. You know, when you're going up against an elite keeper like, you know, Becker, he's, you know,
some save though, isn't it?
Yeah, he's an elite keeper for a reason. You know, he hasn't won what he has
One of the best I've seen.
Yeah, he hasn't won what he hasn't won for, you know, letting in little goals. You know, but it's just luck wasn't against us, and it is what it is. And
it is what it is. But
I think the only downside to Miggy at the moment that I've started like watching in his game is like he'll do these runs down the wing, and then he'll cut it back and then stop that motion of play, and then like pass it to Trippier or pass it to Tonali, where he
hasn't got a right foot.
Exactly, but even if you have it, just wing it and just wing it across if you've got to, you know.
I'll say one thing about this whole thing. He doesn't have a right foot. Ryan Giggs never had a right foot.
No, Ryan Giggs was phenomenal. So that's the difference. Ryan Giggs was next level shit.
He was, but what I'm saying to you is some players don't have a right foot. Some players don't have a left foot, right? Miggy is what Miggy is. And Miggy plays for the team. His work rate is unbelievable. The way he wins the ball back, which he did yesterday in the first half, if you can remember, there was a bit of danger and he came back and snuffed the ball off the Liverpool player. He hit the woodwork twice. And he had a block shot, which could have been a goal. And then obviously he did miss that big chance. I do agree. There was that one time when he ran into the box and he could have flicked one in with his right foot. There was only one player to aim for. Now, if you're on your wrong foot and you've only got one player to aim for, what's the best thing to do? Hit and hold with your right foot or bring the ball back and bring more people into play? Eddie Howe's got this system of not throwing the ball into the box aimlessly. He wants to pass through teams, a bit like Pep does, a bit like Liverpool did, and a bit like Wolves tried to do at times to play too much football. So, I mean, Miggy, for me, Miggy is what Miggy is.
Baz, look at this. Just taking the piss out of me. Miggy is mint. That's my wife.
Brilliant.
Do you know what
it was a fantastic save, though, Gary, wasn't it? At the end of the day, Miggy could have had a hat-trick yesterday.
Look, I'm not... The one thing I'll say about Miggy, right, is he works his socks off. He frustrates the life out of us at times, right? he does. Every time I watch a game, I know you love him, right? I know a lot of people love him, and I know he divides the fan base at times. At times, he frustrates me. What I will say is, though, he works his socks off.
Yeah.
At times, he has got a beautiful left foot. That save yesterday from Alisson was one of the best I've seen. He couldn't hit it any better than he did, right? And who else is going to save that? Probably Edison at a push, right?
Yeah.
So the one thing I will say is he has got a sweet left foot, but I know which chance you were on about was the right-footed shot on the edge of the box where he did move it to his left and it went over the bar. And I get what you mean, like not swinging and hoping with your right foot, but I just think it's there for him to stand on at times, and I don't know. He's for a professional foot. I know what you mean, Ryan Giggs and his right foot and stuff like that, but if you're so one-footed as a player, then you're going to have to prepare for defenders every time, making sure that they put you on the right side, and that's what Miggy does. I know where John's come from. Miggy runs up the wing at times, and then all of a sudden he stops and comes in because he can't use his right foot. Now, all of a sudden, your attack's slowed down and defenders have come back. And it's the way Miggy plays. At times last season, it was working. From a period for 3 months, it worked. And everything he hit went in the back of the net. A bit like when Cisse did it 10, 15, whatever it was, 10 years ago. But we've all got that player that frustrates us, right? People, some Sean Longstaff's for some people, Maxi was for some people, mine's Miggy. We've all got one player that frustrates us. And it's, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not. And he is a good player, but he just frustrates.
That's the difference for me. He frustrates you, but you have a sensible head on you not to just say, well, we didn't win today, it's Miggy's fault. And that's what I don't like.
Exactly.
That's what I'm sick of seeing online. You know, it's that pile-on where it's Sean, we didn't win today, it's Sean Longstaff's fault. You know, it's like, hold on a minute.
I'll tell you what, the reason, we'll go on about it longer. The reason we lost that game yesterday was not because of one individual.
No,
there was a number of individuals. Why is the reason we lost that game yesterday? And it's not just one person that made us lose that game. But we'll go on about that later on. But
we will.
To everybody to jump on the Miggy bandwagon and say it's all his fault, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at, because people slag off one player because they didn't score. It's like, well, hold on a minute. He was the width of the post twice of not scoring. I mean, some people just need to learn to calm down, read the situation of the game again. You know, we'll come to it later on. Second half, like I mentioned just before, Liverpool's game plan was excellent, but we still created enough chances to win that game. And in the second half, we showed it. There was Miggy hitting the post again. What a run! I mean, he took it from the halfway line and he absolutely left McAllister for dust. He cut inside and he bent it and it hit the post. And it was like, at that point, I was thinking, John, this isn't going to be our day. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, so obviously once he hit that post, I felt the same. I thought, you know, this is it now. But my biggest, you know, I know you want to talk about the second half and later on, but the thing that changed that game was those 3 substitutions and taking off your 3 best players to put on players who are not even warmed up yet to an extent to come in that high intensity game. That was, for me, that was the mistake that changed the full change. Like, it changed everything, like the whole dynamic.
I've got a counteract for that, and we'll come to it in a little bit. First of all, Miggy, though, Gary, amazing run, unlucky. Again.
Oh, very unlucky. It's I think he done the same against Villa last season, and that one went in.
He went in the top
corner. Remember it? 4-0. Run, curled it, past the keeper. He was just unlucky. 6 inches to the right, next sign, it's in the back of the net, posting it. It was just one of those. It was just unlucky. You just never know with Alisson as well. Alisson's such a good goalkeeper. You just don't know. I mean, Alisson could have saved it. You just don't know if it had been a bit closer to him. But
I don't
you
know
kind
if
of felt the
saving
run
that,
of the
to be
shot.
fair.
Nah, he
If it's
didn't.
just that much further to the side, it's in the net for me. But Miggy did have a gilt edge chance, John, in the second half. The ball was squared to him. Yes, he was hitting it on the volley, but it was side foot. It was on his left foot, and he flung it over the bar. That is the criticism for me for Miggy. When that chance comes to you, you've got to take it, and that would have made it 2-0.
Yep. And he should have buried it. We could keep talking about he doesn't really have a great right foot. He doesn't have a great right foot. Well, okay then. Well, if he has a great left foot, why is that not getting buried? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think, and I love Miggy, but I think we should have got somebody who can bury those chances, because this season's different to the season where we had to save relegation. This season's different to last season. This season's about consolidating ourselves within that top 5 bracket of the league, and maybe have a decent run in the Champions League, get out that group stage. And we're going to need people who are going to take those chances and bury them in the back of the net. And for example's sake, let's say we got the Champions League final, it's 89 minutes, 0-0. Miggy's through one goal, but it's on his right. You may as well just hand the trophy to whoever we were playing against. It's he needs to be burying those, and if he doesn't start burying them, and if he doesn't start giving that output, I'd probably say maybe end of the season we might be saying goodbye to Miggy.
See, this one drives me nuts. Diaby would have put them all away. Yeah, you might have, but do you not see Diaby against us, how bad he was defensively? Eddie Howe doesn't want someone who just attacks. He wants someone who does everything. That is the problem. So, Tiger, Diaby doesn't bother me. Go on.
Frozen.
No, he's not frozen. It's the lag.
Is it?
Yeah. Go on, Gary. He's definitely got internet problems.
You know that Miggy chance?
Yeah.
Kyle said it in the thing as well. Kyle said, why didn't he put his lid? Because am I lagging, am I?
Yeah.
Am I lagging? Am I lagging, am I?
Yeah. You're also on repeat.
Yeah. 2 seconds.
Oh, man. Brilliant.
No good.
Lads, in your opinion, who should Howe drop? Personally, no one. But we'll come to that later. It depends on injuries, doesn't it? Miggy also gets another chance, which is blocked. We wanted a handball. It was never a handball. That was going in the back of the net. Again, very unlucky. It's those small margins. I'm going to come back to your point about the substitutions. The reason why I don't agree with you is he made the same substitutions against Villa.
Yep.
It created the chance of Harvey Barnes down the left, Wilson in the middle. If Harvey Barnes squares that, he puts the ball in the back of the net, it's 2-0, and we all go, that's a masterstroke. He's done the same substitutions, It's worked, and it's 2-0. But because Barnes didn't square that chance and Wilson missed it, now his substitutions look bad because we've lost the game.
Yeah, but do you not think
it's a flip of a coin, isn't it?
Yeah, but do you not think those 3 substitutions changed the dynamic of that game?
Well, no, because if he didn't make those changes, how do you know we would have got that extra chance that we should have buried?
Well,
you know, it's one of those. It's a sliding doors moment, isn't it? Because we didn't win it. You. Do you know what I mean?
I get you, but Gordon was having the game of his life. Tonali was absolutely just bossing that midfield. He was pulling the strings. He was like the Pied Piper of Hamelin at St James's Park. And it was the one who came off, obviously, Isak. We know what Isak can just turn it on just like that. Maybe take Isak off, put Wilson on, because we know how of a great poacher he is. But you know Miggy's hit the post twice. He's skyrocketed one. Why don't you just move Gordon over to the right, put Barnes on the left? Bruno was, I don't want to obviously put him down because I love Bruno, but Bruno was sort of like flagging a little bit towards the back end of the game. Take him off, put Sean Longstaff there, instead of taking Joe Linton off, because Joe Linton was bullying that midfield. And then he was bullying the midfield. Tonali was just orchestrating all round.
Joe Linton went off because of his knee, potentially. So there was a slight little injury concern there. So what you got to remember as well is that Eddie Howe knows the players better than we do. He knows when they're starting to run out of gas. He knows how many minutes they can play. Tonali's new to the Premier League, and he does this. He did this with Bruno. Yes, he's starting them, but he's not playing in the 90 minutes because he doesn't think his fitness is up to the level that Eddie Howe expects it to be. So they know the charts. They know what they can do. So for me, he makes those changes because he feels he has to make those changes, whether we agree with them or not. But we've got to think about the behind-the-scenes stuff. Is Tonali fit enough to play 90 minutes? We don't know.
I personally, I'm working now because I know what the problem was. Basically, for some reason, my Wi-Fi wasn't on my phone. I was using my data.
Oh, no.
But I've got no idea why that happened. But no, I'll let John speak, but I've got my opinion on the substitutions.
So basically what I was saying there, Gary, is those three, me and Baz are just agreeing to disagree. But I believe those three substitutions changed the full dynamic of the game for our team. I don't think they should have happened. I think they should have left. I think you should definitely have left Tonali on, moved Gordon over to the right, taken Miggy off for Barnes, and maybe left Isak on for another 10 minutes before introducing Wilson. That's how I think, it should have happened. And obviously, I would have left Joe Linton on and taken Bruno off for Longstaff.
You couldn't leave Joe Linton on, though, because he was injured. He came off because of his knee. So you can't leave a player on who can't do the job. That's why, if you watch it when he comes off, he's pointing at his knee 3 times, 2 or 3 times through the game. In the second half, he was pointing at his knees. He was down on the floor, holding it as well. They've took him off because they were worried that his injury from last week was going to come back and haunt them. So that's why Joe Linton was never staying on the pitch. I agree. I would love him to have stayed on, but you've got to think about the player safety at the end of the day. We can't have him injured for 2-3 weeks. It's too important.
I didn't see, like you said, I didn't see him pointing to his knee. I'll probably have to have a little relook over that.
Rewatch it again because he went down twice with it.
Yeah, I'd seen him like about 10 minutes earlier, but I thought, he's just going to run it off. But I didn't see him pointing to his knee as he was coming off. So, but, regardless of the Joe Linton, I would have left Tonali on and Gordon on.
Yeah, I mean, this comment drives me nuts. Sean Longstaff's finished. No, he's not. Come on, Gary, your turn.
The one thing I will say about, I was livid with the subs at the time, right? If the players are injured or tired and they've had to come off, fair enough, right? It's not, Eddie knows the players might have communicated this, that, and that. I don't know. What was worrying was when Tonali went off, everything seemed to go to ratchet when Tonali went off. Now, that is a bit of a concern, right?
Yeah.
Tonali just ran the game. And then when he went, boom. Joe Linton went off with an injury. And then suddenly 2 of your best players in that game yesterday went off, suddenly were wide open.
Yeah.
Gordon went off. And then all of a sudden, Trent started to get his confidence back a bit.
Yeah.
When Gordon went off. And then within the space of, I remember I saw the picture, 72 minutes, the 3. I get Isaac, right? Isaac was isolated most of the game.
Yeah.
Get why Callum Wilson come on. Gordon looked a bit tired to me. I've watched it again. So maybe he was took off for that reason, fatigue. Tonali, you're talking about a player who played in the Champions League semi-final last season. So surely he can do 90 minutes. But
with Tonali, I'm sure I read a stat earlier that last season, all the way up to the Champions League semi-final, I'm sure he played every minute of every single game. You know what is? Bruno should have gone off. That's my personal opinion.
Tonali
There's
should have
that as
stayed
well.
on, and Bruno should have gone because he wasn't good enough. First half, me and you spoke at half time.
Yeah.
Bruno was all right. He was playing our read. Second half, he was just a complete different player, especially when Tonali went. When Tonali went, Bruno went. And that tells me straight away that Bruno isn't good enough to play the position he's playing. Right? And this is what I stand by, is like I have said this time and time again on this show. That team needs a 6. It needs a 6. Then Bruno and Tonali can do their game. Bruno can do what he's good at. He's not a bloody 6. I've realised it at Man City, and I've realised it here. Foden had space time and time again down in Manchester. Yesterday, Jota come on, started filling into those little tricky holes when Tonali went off, and suddenly we went from being solid to wide open. And that's how they got the 2 goals. And we are not. Bruno's struggling this season because maybe Longstaff's not playing. That might be the reason, right? He's struggling.
You can't fit them all in, can you? This is the problem.
I'm telling you now, I love Joe Linton and Tonali were 2 of the best players on the pitch yesterday, right?
I'll pose a question to you.
Go on.
Do you think, right, just put it out there, hypothetically thinking, do you think Eddie Howe can make Joe Linton a number 6?
No. He's too...
box to box, isn't he?
Yeah, he's too... Do you know what the problem is? You know your number 6, right? Your number 6 needs to be absolutely spot on at tackling. Joe's good at what he does. He's a fantastic player. He's my pick for player of the season. That's what I've said. But he gives too many fouls away, and he's going to get a lot of bookings. I think he was the worst booked last season for us. And to have a CDM, the best teams in the world ever, Real Madrid, Casemiro, that had all the superstars around Casemiro. Barcelona had Busquets, you had Messi and all the superstars. Keane, Giggs, Beckham, you name it. Every great team has that.
David Batty.
Yeah, Batty for us. Theory. They were our best periods when we had a number 6 in the middle. You know what it is? We should have. I think we're going to regret this. We should have went and got Edison Alvarez for 30 million.
A few people have said that.
I watched him yesterday for West Ham. He was freaking superb.
Was he?
In the middle of the park against Brighton. And you know what he does? He just sits there and breaks up the play. And that's what Newcastle are missing. And until they get a CDM, we're going to have days like this. Because I love them. I love Joe Linton, I love Tonali, and I love Bruno. Love the 3 of them, right? But they're just too wide open at times. And Foden exposed that last weekend. And it happened again yesterday. And as soon as I know it's different when Tonali went off and Joe Linton went off and get that wide open. But we looked stronger last season, and maybe it's because Sean Longstaff was in there. Maybe that's why, possibly. You don't know, it's all ifs and buts, but I don't think we're going to do a CDM this month, this week. I don't think Eddie's going to do that. But next summer, I think they are going to go out and spend millions on it. An anchor man, spine, because he's missing in that team.
I was rooting for him to go and get Kefren Turam. Now, if you watch Kefren Turam, he is a perfect CDM. He's about 6'5". He can sprint anywhere. He's probably one of the fastest players on the pitch, and he's just like this, powerhouse. He'll just sit in front of that defense, block and play up, passing it to your number 8s or your number 10s, and just saying, right, see you later. He was going to have fun.
Look at Liverpool. Liverpool had their stars when they won the title, Champions League. You had your Salahs, you had every star, but there was Jordan Henderson doing all the hard work in the middle.
Yeah, I agree.
Every team's got one, but we've got 3 players who are bloody good at what they do, but none of them is that anchor man. And you need the anchor man. If one of them has to sacrifice, Joe Linton go left wing. He's bloody good at it. Seen him do it.
Yeah.
He played at Brentford last season. He was fantastic at Brentford.
You can't drop Gordon in his form.
No, that's it.
But it's great to have options.
It's great to have options. But the one
you just imagine yesterday's game when we had that number 6 and we started flagging, and then we took off Bruno and Tonali and brought on Willock and Joe Linton. they could have easily taken their places while that number 6 has just sat there in front of that defence, just pivoting left
You want
and
my
right.
personal opinion? You want my personal opinion? We had a number 6 like Edison Alvarez on our side yesterday. That second goal does not go in. That's my opinion. Doesn't happen.
For me,
But it's our lips and butt.
The big chance for me is the if and but moment, the sliding door moment. Harvey Barnes is running through on goal.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, we've got Wilson in the same position he was against Villa. It's a carbon copy. That goes in. Nobody's talking about the substitutions. Nobody's talking about how we lost the game. We're 2-0 up. We've won it. Now, why is Barnes not squared that ball? Is there an excuse for it? Because personally, I just thought he was greedy.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he should have crossed it earlier. If he was going to shoot, he should have decided to shoot a lot earlier than he did. Because he's got it in his arsenal. We all know that. I've seen Harvey Barnes so screaming. So it's, you know what it is? When he got that ball there, I saw a player who didn't look match fit. Like, he's not on it, you know what I mean? He's not fitness-wise. He's not
anyhow
fitness.
Is what
No, he's not match fit. He's not game fit. He hasn't done enough minutes. And I saw that. Look at Gordon. When Gordon in the beginning last season, when he came on, was a bit hit and miss. He wasn't here, he wasn't there. Look at Gordon now. Every time he gets the ball, you expect him to do something with it. Harvey Barnes will get there. He will get there. But at the minute, he's just lacking a few minutes for me. I know it sounds really bizarre, but I wish we had a Carling Cup game this week.
Yeah,
on Wednesday.
Cup,
just or whatever it's called now, just to see some of these players, just to get Livramento some minutes, to get Lewis Hall in, to get Anderson minutes. I think you know what is it? I sat there last night after that game as well, and I looked and I went, why the hell wasn't Lewis Miley on the bench? Because
and Leslie's got a good theory about that. Is obviously our under-21s are in the Champions League, aren't they? So he's getting experience playing against the top young talent. Because of that. Yeah. So I agree, though. I want to see Lewis Miley on.
I want to see Lewis Miley. I'm not saying start him. I'm just, but Lewis Miley was one of the best players in pre-season. This is a young lad who's Sean Longstaff is scared. He's going to take his place. He's terrified of it. He's massive talent that people have said, I've never seen a talent like this kid. In pre-season, he was unbelievable. Yeah. But he's nowhere near the bench. I mean,
I don't get it.
Don't get it. Just get him on the bench. I don't understand it. Honestly, so I don't.
The other sliding doors moment for me in this game is if we bury that chance at 2-0, Liverpool don't go up the other end and score. Now, I'm going to give Klopp credit because we looked horrendous against 10 men compared to what we looked like in the first half against 11 men. If it was 11 against 11, I think we beat Liverpool all day because we don't open ourselves up as much as we did. We don't go searching for that second goal as much as we did. And he was very compact. And the reason why I give him so much credit is he left all three strikers on the pitch. And even his substitutions, he did the same thing. He made sure there was three up top. And this goal doesn't happen for two reasons. We should be 2-0 up. Botman doesn't normally make that mistake. That's it. It's a huge mistake. That ball was not great to Nunez. Botman doesn't take such a bad touch. Nunez doesn't get the ball. Nunez doesn't score. But because we stretched ourselves and Byrne was further up the pitch than he probably should have been, that's the reason why Botman got caught out. Do you guys agree? It's just a simple cutout. He cuts that out. There's no goal.
I don't. You know me. I don't like Jurgen Klopp. Right? I don't like him. But he won the management battle yesterday because what Klopp did yesterday was he went for Dan Burn from minute one, and he knew that was Newcastle's weakness. I didn't realise Dan Burn was as slow as he is. And when Dan Burn moved to centre back, he got even slower. I cannot understand it. But
this is why I put in the group chat last night. I said, I've seen Milk turn quicker. This is but carry on, Gary. I just wanted to.
Yeah, I know, and it's and then. But what Klopp did was Klopp thought, right, I'm going to bring Nunez on, Jota on, two pacey players. And what he said was he put Nunez over to Burn.
Yeah.
That's what he did. He put him on that side and says, I want you to attack him, right? And I can't stand Jurgen Klopp. I think he's a bit tough spot in the Premier League, right? But what he did there, you've got to commend him on. Because he came up with an idea to win the game, and that's exactly what he did. And he brought a pacey player on. And my worry is if Botman has got a bad injury, who, again, for me, was he was one of our star men again yesterday. I know he made that mistake for the first goal. His tackle was fantastic in the second half. If Botman's injured, we have got a serious lack of pace in our back line. Apart from Hall and Liverpool, I understand them too, but they're still young lads. You don't know where they're at, this, that, and the other. But our centre-back pairing is going to get this week in, week out if Botman's injured. They're going to get a through ball with pacey strikers running onto it, and we're going to have to be ready for it. Unless we go out and buy a defender in the next 5 years, we are going to have to be ready for it, because Liverpool exploited that in the last 10 to 15 minutes, especially when Botman went off.
I want to point this out. Was Klopp winning 11v11? No, he wasn't.
No,
we were winning that first half, 11v11. We actually went 1-0 up, 11v11. We were beating them.
I thought we were slow in the first 5-10 minutes, but after that, absolutely dominated. Right. The problem, I think, why people are so frustrated, and I'm frustrated, is because Newcastle threw that game away.
Yeah.
I saw somebody comparing this game to Anfield last season. It's no comparison to me. We were unlucky at Liverpool last season. It was one of those. Yesterday, we threw the game away. That's the difference. And that's why I found yesterday more frustrating than Anfield. We were just unlucky at Anfield. Yesterday, we threw it away. And we threw it away in the last 15 minutes. And it was a collective thing from the manager to certain players on that side who threw it away. And it's a shame, because some players were fantastic yesterday, had great performances. And they must have gone in at full time and went, how the bloody hell have we lost this game?
Yeah.
But I'm hoping they learn from this, because games like this you learn from. I've seen it happen before. Yeah. Man United got helped twice in 96 off us in Southampton. And Ferguson thought, right, this is what I'm going to do. We learned from it. Same. Laurent Blanc, Craig Bellamy destroyed Laurent Blanc a few years ago. Ferguson threw him out and took him out the side and went, Nemo. So you learn from these. And I think they will. I think Eddie will learn from it. I think the players will learn from it. But it's just, I found the whole game frustrating, because I just personally think we threw it away.
You did. And we'll come to the injury time winner. Again, it's a carbon copy of the first goal. They played that angle ball down the right-hand side to Nunez. Again, Dan Burns been caught out because of his pace, and he's got a free run on goal, and he smashed it in the bottom corner, and it was a brilliant finish. And they literally won that game in 10 minutes. That's what we got. We were winning the game after 80 minutes, and then within 10 minutes, suddenly, I don't know. I mean, and these are the stats in the second half. We had 66% of possession, 15 shots, 4 on target, 9 off target, 2 blocked. They had 5 shots, 2 on target. Scored them both. And that is football in a nutshell for you. That's what happens when you leave a game at 1-0 and you're not confident of closing the game out at 1-0. Would you have seen Man City open up as much as we did? Or do you think Man City would have said, let's keep the ball?
Man City would have just saw the game out, got a winner, or even if they didn't, if they did the same Man City did against us, Newcastle started getting possession in the last 15 minutes. Man City just did what they did
and didn't give the ball away. And that's what we should have done. We should have learned at that point when they were down to 10 men. We should have saw that game out. We would. The fans were. I don't know if Eddie Howe was. The players were. They were all thinking we need to get a second. We didn't. We had the one. All we had to do was see those 10 minutes out. And with those fresh legs and with Sean Longstaff coming on as a bit more of a defensive player, we should have been able to keep the ball round the back to the keeper, back into midfield, just stretch Liverpool, which we didn't do. Yeah. They just stayed compact, hit the ball down the right-hand side, did it twice, scored twice. We didn't learn from our lessons. And that's what we need to learn very, very quickly. We need to learn how to close games out.
Well, I'm going to give you a little caveat to that. So obviously, we need to learn how to, that everything that was a big experience for the lads. You know, so they'll learn now. Like when we go 1-0, we either, if it's 10 minutes to go, we're either going to defend and get that winner or whatnot. But you know, it's all the experience. But what it is going to obviously learn the rest of the managers in the league that we do have fertility. We do have a fragile back line. Botman runs at defence. As soon as he went, you know, it sort of went a little bit of a, you know, differentiated.
Yeah.
They know Burns the weak spot. They know. And like all
this is why
managers-
we've brought in a left back though. We know he's the weak spot. Eddie Howe knows he is, but he wasn't ready for that game. So for yesterday's game.
Still, if you're getting paid 50 grand a week, you need to be ready no matter what, you know. They should.
No, Lewis Hall's just been bought. You know what Eddie Howe's like? Yes, Lewis Hall probably wanted to play, but Eddie Howe would say, you haven't trained with the team, you're not ready for the tactics, you don't know how we play, you're going to have to bide your time to get into the team, which is fair enough on my eyes.
Sorry, I was going to say I'm not worried about left back anymore. I really aren't, because I think Lewis Hall. I mean, I've watched him. He is a fantastic player, and I'm telling you now, this kid will be in the England side soon enough.
I'll tell you another thing, Gary. You mentioned there, he's a fantastic player. He could be our DM.
Yes, because he can play in the middle of the park. That's one thing. But I have heard comparisons to Gareth Bale, and that come from Chelsea fans, right? So
we've heard them say
think
that
we've
about
got one talent. So suddenly, my worry now is gone from left back to centre back.
Yeah.
And if this is why Sven Botman for me is the most important player in Newcastle's lineup, because if Bruno gets injured, you bring Tonali in. Tonali gets injured, you bring Bruno in. If Gordon gets injured, Barnes comes in. Wilson, Isaac, etc. Botman gets injured, Lascelles and Byrne come in.
Yeah,
that's the difference. Now we've known since May that we need a centre back, right? And I thought Byrne could cover there, right? And he possibly can against Luton at home, right? But what he will struggle at is we'll play Brighton next week. And if Sven Botman's injured and doesn't make the game, he's up against Matoma. And that's what De Zerbi's going to do. He's going to put Matoma on him. And Byrne's going to have to get used to this, and that he's going to get pacey, talented players on him from now on, because that's what every team has done this season. And that's nothing against Dan Byrne. I don't mind, honestly.
No, it's not. And
it's
what
not.
I
I'm
will
not
say
having
to counteract on that is that if we saw the game out, we would have been deeper. We would have asked Liverpool to come on to us to try and get the equaliser. We should have been hitting them on the break, not the other way around.
Exactly, 100%. I thought we just backed. I think it got to about. You know what it is? You know, when you were going on about stats, I think in the first 10 minutes of the second half, Newcastle had 124 passes, Liverpool had 16.
Yeah.
Right? That was in the first 10 minutes. And do you know what happened? I think Tonali gave the ball away. Tonali gave the ball away in the middle of the park, right? It was about 60 minutes. Probably the only bad thing he did all game. Liverpool went on the attack. Suddenly they got a possession and got a couple of corners for about 5 minutes. And then the game started changing, and it changed dramatically when the subs came on. So from that period, everything changed. And it's not, it looked to me like Newcastle lost a bit of confidence, but that's not what would have happened, but that's what it looked like.
Yeah,
and
I agree. And it was the fear of losing the game, and the crowd was like that as well. And that's what I mean about seeing the game out. The players reacted to the crowd in a way. They wanted the second goal to kill the game because they weren't confident they were going to keep a clean sheet. No, but if the tactics changed, Howe should have said, right, it's time for us to sit back, let Liverpool try and come onto us, and let's counterattack them. We could have opened them up with our pace again, with Barnes, with Wilson. I just think the tactics were wrong. I don't think the substitutions were wrong. I think the tactics were wrong.
I think Liverpool will end up going to be that, that old age story of someone who gets really under your skin no matter what. They could save a burning school and save all the children. You'd still hate them. I think they're going to be like that team that gets under our skin. And one day we're just going to, it'll turn and then it'll be game over. And we'll always have that upper hand, and we'll be the ones that are under their skin. Because at the moment they'd laugh at us because they know that something's going to fucking happen. You know, no matter what in Newcastle, we can't do normal things.
I mean, just a quick one. I think what frustrated me in the second half a bit was we didn't attack Trent enough for me in the second half.
Bingo.
Yeah. And Anthony Gordon demolished him in the first half. Now, if I'd been a manager, I would have said, Anthony, just
everything
go out there
and
attack him, because he's the weakness. He's on a yellow card. He's one tackle away from getting a send off.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the ball to Gordon. And then it was just frustrating the whole second half for me.
You know what I would have done? Just for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so of the game is just move Gordon, not Gordon, move Tonali over to the left to play with Gordon. Just so, because Tonali will draw him out. And you know what Tonali could be looking that way and you'll still get a pass off to you, you know. I think maybe you should have done that for like 10, 15 minutes of the game just to maybe draw that foul or draw out of position to get Gordon away. But hey, it's happened.
Hey, we live and learn. This is what Eddie Howe had to say. This is as painful as last season at Anfield. I thought we played very well, but I wanted us to try to look for that second goal in a more positive way. It was our job to win the match, but we didn't take those chances. Like I say, sliding doors moments. I just, Tonali, though, was my man in the match. I thought he was excellent. It's very harsh on Gordon because Gordon was superb as well. But 47 touches, 27 out of 36 in the final third passes completed, 5 out of 8 ground duels won, 4 ball recoveries, 2 out of 3 dribbles completed, and 2 out of 3 tackles won. He was absolutely fantastic. The last little thing we'll talk about very, very quickly before we go is this. We all love Mad Dog. We all wanted him in the technical area. We're all upset that these changes have happened, but apparently the Champions League have it anyway, so he wouldn't be allowed in the technical area. A lot of people have started to hammer him for this, but yet when we're winning, we love him for it. So was it unprofessional to do it at the time that he did it, and should he have stayed away from it? Because Klopp obviously got the last laugh. Who wants to go first?
I'll jump in there. I think you don't know what's got said beforehand, do you? You know, Klopp could have said something to him or whatever. Personally, the finger to the lips, I like it, but save it until we've got the 3 points in the bag. Then do it, you know. I think that Klopp picture that's circulating with him, Klopp doing, I think that's actually photoshopped.
Is it?
So if you look at the bloke stood behind him, it should say Lewis Visuals or something. So you got the bloke stood behind Klopp. Look at the accent behind it, Lewis Visuals. I think someone's photoshopped it. So
if they have, it's good. But Mad Dog shouldn't have done it, should he? Really? I mean,
he should have waited until. He should have waited until he got that 3 points in the bag. Then he could have done what he liked, and he could have been Mad Dog, you know. But I think Jason Tindall, I love him. I love him for what he does. He just needs to take a little step back for just a couple of weeks. Just let Newcastle be Newcastle, Eddie be Eddie, you know, and stop I know he's not there purposely doing it, but he just needs to just take the limelight away. Do you know what I mean? Just let.
I don't think he wants the limelight, to be fair, but
yeah,
I don't know.
He probably doesn't, but I probably worded that wrong. But just like, you know, put your finger to your lips to Jurgen Klopp, where all the cameras are going to be on him anyway. Just like leave it till the end of the game.
Yeah, I sort of agree. It should. I mean, I was on Twitter giving it the big 6 at halftime, and you then eat your words. You should always wait until after the 90 minutes is finished, because you never know what's going to bounce on you. And it does my head in.
If Tyndall wants to throw a water bottle off Klopp's head at any point during the game, I'm all up for that. You know, you can do that at any point.
I love it. Gary, what's your thoughts on the Mad Dog situation?
Klopp sort of beat him, didn't he, at the game?
Yeah.
Klopp, that was purely down to Klopp making a point about the two of them being in the dugout. That's where that come from. Yeah, Mad Dog fell for it, just like Keegan did with Ferguson years ago.
Yeah.
And in the end, Klopp won. And this is what the top managers do. They get under your skin.
Yeah.
And It's how you deal with it. That's where Eddie Howe is good at what he does, because you wouldn't say Eddie Howe doing that.
Yeah.
No.
Right? Because he's still got a game to play. But look, Mad Dog's just a passionate man, isn't he? That's the way he is. And look, it wasn't one of those moments from the game yesterday that annoyed us, or he did it. Klopp won in the end, but hey, well, that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we all know. We all know if we won, that picture would have been.
Oh, it would have been circulated.
It would have been on
everywhere.
T-shirts and everything.
Yeah, of course it would.
It would have been on T-shirts.
Yeah,
it probably would have been
T-shirts,
people's
the result would
cover
have been on
photo.
the T-shirt and everything. But because we lost, people jump on it and say it's unprofessional, blah, blah, blah. Like I say, it's sliding doors moments, isn't it? There's so many things that we love and we don't like because of
I just want to add another point before, obviously
Yeah.
I've got to get going soon. Is a lot of like Twitter and all that. I know there's like, I know it's just bots and it's other fans and stuff, but whole, Eddie out type of thing.
God, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's just ridiculous.
It is, because what people need to understand is Eddie Howe is not the finished article. He's not the finished article. Exactly. He's not the finished article. Newcastle's not the finished article. Eddie Howe could become one of the greatest English managers of all time, for all we know. Do you know what I mean? We don't know what he's going to do. So
you know when Eddie made. Look, personally, I think Eddie made mistakes with these subs. Right, I still stand by that now. But that doesn't make Eddie Howe a bad manager overnight, right?
No, of course it doesn't.
The difference is Steve Bruce had done these mistakes, right? Steve Bruce would do the same flaming mistakes next game and the next game and the next game. Eddie Howe won't do that, because Eddie will look at his mistakes and he'll improve his mistakes.
Yeah.
Ferguson made mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? Guardiola's made mistakes. It happens, right? Eddie made mistakes yesterday, but Eddie will learn from it, right? That doesn't make him a bad manager. And the people saying Eddie's not good enough, this, that, and the other, that's just beyond ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Look, if Eddie Howe's the man to take Newcastle to the next level, right? I don't know. This is PIF's decision, right? But that will not come anywhere near anything for the next 1 to 2 years. You know what I mean? This is
so you're not going to happen after 3 games
years
of the season when you play Villa, Man City, and Liverpool.
Exactly.
The
it's
thing
ridiculous.
is, though, we've got the same amount of points as last year, but we've got a 2+ goal difference. So, I'm not worried just yet.
But we weren't beat either, were we? We had draws. That was the problem, wasn't it? It was last season.
I think the only. I mean, there's a few little. I'll tell you what. If we do, I don't think we will. But if we buy a centre back in the next few days, and I'm not on. It doesn't have to be an £80 million set. I'm on about a pacey centre back, or somebody like Anderson at Palace. Somebody who, like. Then I'll feel a lot more confident, right? Because if, for example, Botman does get injured again, then we're all struggling at the back. Or maybe, you know what it is? I'm just going to throw one out there. Maybe go to Man City and go, come have Calvin Phillips on loan, because that's the type of player. Just stick him in the middle of the park, right? Calvin Phillips is still a good player. He's just in a club where he can't get any minutes, right? Go to Guardiola and can we have him for a year on a loan, right? Pop him in the middle of our park, and suddenly you've got an anchor in there, which it'll tighten things up again if we can't get a centre back. I think at some point this week, I just think we need to buy a defensive minded, whether that's a centre back or a six, just somebody. Doesn't have to be for a fortune, just somebody to come in, because
I think you've probably seen on Twitter, like I harp on about it every day. Just go all out, go get him, go get Antonio Silva and have him in there. The guy is phenomenal.
He is, but 100 million FFP and all this sort of stuff. As much as I'd love it to happen, we don't know the restraints that we're working with. So, unless we actually see
I know, but
I know what you're saying. I think every club in the world would love to be able to pay 100 million for him, but
I reckon.
I'm going to.
Ashworth could do I reckon Ashworth could do a.
I hope he can, and I'm sure that he's on the list. But I don't know how it's a hard deal to do. They're very hard to do business with.
I know.
They like all their money up front. They don't like it in bits and bobs. So it's going to be a difficult one.
We got Adidas coming in on Saturday, so.
You know that comment there about Anderson not being pacey.
Yeah.
I know he's not very pacey, but what Anderson's got is he's got a brain. He reads the game well.
Yeah.
Right. And if he's at the back yesterday for us, Darwin Nunez doesn't score that second goal.
Yeah.
Right. Because Dan Burn was, I mean, when I saw that goal, I thought Nunez was offside, right? And then when I saw the replay, I couldn't believe how onside Nunez was.
Yeah.
And that tells you that Dan Burn was just far too deep. And that's the difference with Anderson. Anderson, he's not a pacey defender, right? But what he is, he reads the game.
Yeah.
And he reads the game better than Dan Burn does. And that's nothing against Dan Burn, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I just think there's something we need to put in there in the next few days because Botman being out that side, it's unthinkable for me.
Yeah,
it's unthinkable for. I mean, we've got to go to Brighton now.
I'm going to have to get going, boys. Just sorry for cutting in there, guys. Thanks for having us again, and I'll speak to you soon.
Man.
All the best, lads.
Enjoy the rest of your bank holiday.
You
you too. Bye.
Right, but just something. Just it doesn't have to be a fortune. Just something in there, just to somebody who knows how to defend, basically.
Yeah.
And it's otherwise at times we're gonna, especially in the Champions League, we're gonna have struggles, especially if Botman's injured. Just haven't got the pace at the back. I love Shaw, I do. I think he's a good player, but there's still the pace issue.
Yeah.
With Shaw, the difference is Shaw reads the game well.
Yeah.
Dan Burn, he's a good player, but when it comes to like certain things, it's just his weakness, and you know it, as you've saw time and time again last season. Dan Burn was always the target by every opposition manager, and at times Burn did it. He came up with the task, but it doesn't matter what happens. He was always the target, and this season it's going to get worse.
The same,
yeah. And
I mean, if he plays at centre back, I'm more confident in playing centre back than I am at left back because it's his natural position, and I think he'll gain confidence playing alongside Shaw. I just think yesterday was just a mess because of the way everything went. But let's not get downhearted by it. Wood, and you talk, Silva's one of the best young centre-backs going. I can't see them going, oh, yeah, we'll loan him for you and then we'll take a big fee next season. That's not how Benfica works. It's Benfica, isn't it?
Yeah, so the problem with Silva is
a nightmare to deal with.
I think we could get, I think there's interest in Silva. I think we can get him, but it's going to take a hell of a lot of money to get Silva. Now, if we do get him, it'll be next summer.
Yeah, I think
because you're talking astronomical money for him. But to be honest, if you want to go at the next level, not now, but next summer, if you want to go at the next level, he's the type of signing we need. He's absolutely quality. And him and Botman would be frightening.
Yeah.
So it's something for next summer. I have no doubt if FFP was a non-thing, then PIF probably would have signed him already.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, money's not an issue with them. They've just proved that in their league. So it's purely down to FFP. This.
Yeah. Right, that's the end of the show. Let's just remember, guys, it's only 3 games in. We've played against 2 very, very top sides and another team that is trying to break into the top 5 like we are trying to stay in the top 5. We've got 3 points. We should really have 6, but hey, that's football. It happens. We've got a run of fixtures after Brighton that we can win. I'm very confident in most of them. The only ones I'm worried about are Brighton and West Ham because I think West Ham are on fire at the moment. But the other
West
games
Ham are good.
Yeah. I'm very confident. I don't know if we're going to sign anyone, to be completely honest with you. I think it depends on the Botman injury. If Botman's only out for 2 weeks or something like that, I don't think we dip back in the market. If he's out for longer, I think, we might. You just you never know with Piff. You just never know with Luton, with Hayden going, Fraser going. Is there anybody else gone out on loan as well?
Yeah,
I'm sure there were Jake.
There's somebody on the verge of going out, or there's somebody going. That's just kind of where it is.
Well, Hayden's the one to Luton that could be permanent. You know, there's a chance that we could potentially maybe get one more in. You never know.
I'll tell you what, didn't be surprised if Eddie looks and goes, right, maybe I need to look at the youngsters at some of them. And I'm on about the quality ones. And Alex Murphy had a very good pre-season for us.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Now, he can play left back and centre back. So maybe at some point he might look and go, right, I need to bring somebody in. Because I'm always a believer. I watched Wayne Rooney at 17 years of age tearing the World Cup up. Yeah. I don't care how old you are, right? If you're good enough, you're in. Plain and simple. I'm not bothered about the age. I never have been when it comes to football. And
I agree.
Don't be surprised if Eddie looks into that at some point.
Yeah, I agree. We will be back on Friday for definite because we're doing the look ahead with for the Brighton game with Mike. He's going to come back on. I love Mike. Mike's on. We might have another show in between. I'll have a couple of videos out. We're going to do a goal of the month for Benfield, and I've got the Benfield highlights on the weekend and the FA Vars Cup to get sorted. So please hit the subscribe button if you have enjoyed this. Hit the thumbs up. Don't forget about our amazing sponsor, Dijk Crow Shop. 20% off for all our viewers. So please consider buying some of their clobber because the t-shirts are really good. The ship in the UK, you get it in a couple of days. It's quicker than Castore, you know. Get it all in. And yes, Miley is one of the best ones. Klopp was having to go at our bench rock. Of course he was. He's a tit. That's the end of the show. Thank you very much for tuning in and keep an eye out on the channel. We've got lots of things coming up and we'll speak to you again soon. Take care.